where you have wives of the other nation or nations in the kingdom, giving all praise to Yahweh Shem Yahshua Shem Rakakwadash. I went through the scripture. I did a video yesterday dealing with matter of fact, let me give you the actual video. The name, you can't have sex on the Sabbath. Bear me for a minute. And I went into one of the scriptures or precepts that I went into is Deuteronomy 21 verse 10. Now I remember, well, just in case you're thinking this, it says in the 10th verse, when thou goest forth to war against the enemies, and the Lord thy power hath delivered them into thine hands, and thou hast taken them captive. Now that's talking about another nation. Now when you look that word up, enemies, and you go to the various precepts, there's a couple of precepts that come up dealing with David and Saul being the enemy. So this term, the enemy, is based upon the context of the precept that you're reading. Because there's certain individuals that say that, I'll read the 10th verse again. When thou goest forth to war against thine enemies, and the Lord and the Lord thy power hath delivered them into thine hands, and thou hast taken them captive, and seest among the captives a beautiful woman. So the 10th verse of Deuteronomy 21 is talking about, in this case, it's talking about of the other nations. That's part of the spoils. And so is that going to be apply in the kingdom? You got damn right it's going to apply in the kingdom. It says, and seeth among the captives a beautiful woman, and hath a desire unto her, meaning you want to have sex with her. You like, the word beauty means the shape of a woman. The ass, the titties, the calves, the thighs, the shoulders, the neck, the stomach, the belly button. You know, there's a lot of things on a woman that can turn you on. Anyway, it says, and seeth among the captives of the other nation, you took down the other nation. As a matter of fact, when they took down the Midianites, they took the woman. I'm not going to go through it. Somebody could put it in the description box, because I'm not going to make this a super long video. But it tells you how when national Israel defeated the Midianites, they killed off all the men or enslaved certain men. But they made sure that they took the woman and the children. Now the reason why they took the woman and the children is to make them their wives of another nation, Midianites. And the children, the sons, the young sons, they would put them into slavery. And the young daughters, or the young maids of the Midianites, they would put them into slavery and also make them sex slaves. See, that went on among the nations round about us. You know, part of the spoil is woman. When you read, I believe it's I believe it's 2 Kings, excuse me, if not 1 Kings, it's 2 Kings 11, where it speaks about Solomon. Somebody can put that in the description box. I'm not going to go to it. And it speaks about Solomon having wives of the other nations. among Edom, among the so-called Egyptians, among the Moabites, Ammonites. Those are all the women of these other nations around about them. Now, if that happened in Solomon's kingdom, it's going to happen in our kingdom, because Solomon's kingdom is an everlasting kingdom. So you might ask yourself, well, Solomon died and the kingdom was split and the kingdom was taken over by the Assyrians and then by the Babylonians. So how can you make that statement? Well, the Solomon's kingdom, which is an everlasting kingdom, was put on pause, was suspended. You're driving in a car, you get a certain amount of tickets, and they suspend your license. That doesn't mean they're going to take your license or revoke your license where you can never operate a vehicle. That means for 6 months you can't operate this vehicle. You can't drive this vehicle. And the day that the 6 months is over, you get your license back. So the everlasting kingdom of Solomon is on pause, and it's been on pause for thousands of years. To be more exact, it's been on pause for about 2,800 years. About, give or take a couple hundred years. So anybody that asks you the question that Solomon's kingdom, how can Solomon's kingdom be an everlasting kingdom? And the kingdom's not here. It's on pause. Anyway, so when the kingdom resumes, Solomon will be in his spot, and under him will be King David, 144,000, which include the 12. Peter being number one. Peter, the apostle Peter, is going to be right under Yahushua on the earthly realm. So we're going to have concubines of the other nations, which you should understand that Deuteronomy 21:10 is a law. That law is still going to be applied. And we're not going to go to war against them. Well, in the beginning, when we come down in the ships, when New Jerusalem comes back to earth, New Jerusalem in Revelation, the 21st chapter, the first couple of verses, is referring to the Israelites. Jerusalem is a people before it's a place. So when John saw New Jerusalem coming down from heaven, it represented us being in the ships, in the chariots, after the destruction of this great altar, which is America. America is an altar. That's why the Most High has us here prophesying. And there should be more of you, for you lukewarm guys. There should be Israelite camps. There should be 1,000,000, I always use that term, 1,000,001 Israelite camps out there. Because the altar is set up for the high priest or the prophet to whether to bless a place or to curse a place. So we are here to curse this place. That's why we looked at as enemies by Esau. The so-called white man knows he's an Edomite. He knows that we are the Israelites. And his thing is to demonize us, because we're the only thing that we're doing is we're blessing ourselves, and we're putting a hex, if you will, a curse on Esau. That's why they demonize us. So we're on the great altar. And to prove this is a great altar, read Isaiah 34. And then the Most High says, okay, now it's time to conflagate, set on fire the altar. It's no different than in witchcraft. In witchcraft, and there's a movie on it, good movie, with this guy, I forget his name. Anyway, he played in the movie. He starred in the movie The Rock, which they was at Alcatraz prison. Somebody put the name in the description box, or it'll come back to me. He hasn't been making movies in a while, but anyway, he was in a movie called I think it's called the Straw Man or something like that. And these witches, these women witches, these fine women witches, Edomite witches, you know, played like they wanted to get with him, and they let him and put him in the straw man and burnt him along with goats, calves, chickens, roosters, snakes, all kind of animals, and they stood around and watched him burn. Stood around and watch him burn. So that's the same thing that's going to happen to Babylon the Great. And it has to happen that way. This place can't be flooded out. This place can't be just left here. The Most High is just not going to leave this place here and that's Babylon the Great. No, it's going to be a desert. It's going to be burnt up. So after that, when we go down, that's going to be war. We're declaring war with the other nations pursuant to Deuteronomy 21:10. When thou goest forth to war against thine enemies, and we're going to do that. When the Most High puts that spirit back on us, when he changes our bodies, we're going to come back down as a superhuman, as supermen and superwomen, because our women are going to be changed too, and our children. And we're going to have spiritual power and superhuman, extraterrestrial, angelic type bodies. And when we go to fight Esau, they're going to try to fight us back. These Homo sapiens and their guns. And we're going to destroy them. But we're going to have fun doing it. We're going to have fun doing it, man. We'll be able to fly. The scripture said in Isaiah, we shall mount up with wings as eagles. That doesn't mean literally we're going to sprout wings out of our back. But we will actually be able to fly. See, Esau can't fly on his own power. We will be able to fly. And this is what Esau is afraid of. So part of us, and that's going to be a war. We're going to go to Europe and different parts around the world, and we're going to put everybody in captivity. And part of that captivity is we're going to take their woman. Coming back to, what was that? 2 Kings 11, it's got to be in. You read about an Edomite named Hadad, who had to flee from, he found out that David and Joab, the second in command of Israel at that time, that their thing was to just destroy the Edomites. You see an Edomite, destroy them or enslave them. So Hadad knew about that, so he fled into Egypt, and he met up with the Pharaoh of Egypt at that time. And back then, Edomites, a lot of them dark nations wanted Edomite women. So a lot of these Israelites that you see now that have Edomite features, they had Edomite features back then, man. They had Edomite features back then. And Ishmaelite features. And so we had features of the other nations. The speckled bird in Jeremiah, remember that? Anyway, Hadad spoke to the king of Pharaoh. He spoke, about he escaped with some other Edomites to Egypt. And the Pharaoh set up his wife's sister to marry Hadad the Edomite. So them kids came out as tears. They came out looking like funny Egyptians. Not tall, black, and ugly. like the Sudanese. The Sudanese are the original Egyptians. They look just like the ancient Egyptians. Real tall, real lanky. When I say tall, I'm talking about 7'5", 8 foot. Your father might be 8 foot. Your mother might be 7'10". Manute Bo was an original, a pure Egyptian from Sudan, south of Egypt. Excuse me. So anyway, what happened was when Joab, he came after the Edomites, he killed all the men, separated the men from the women, and killed all the Edomite men. And what did he do with the women? He kept them alive. Why do you think he kept them alive? Because they were good cooks? No, because they can pop them. They can have sex with them pursuant to this law. So it says, when thou goeth forth to war against thine enemies, it's talking about, in this case right here, it's talking about a woman of another nation. Anyway, with that, I'm going to say shalom.